Today we'll be working in my workbook called The Promised Line from Isaac Through Jacob. And this book covers Genesis 25, verse 19, versus Genesis 31, chapter 31, verse 55. And looking at the table of contents, we have already done the first four chapters. We've had the chapter 1 where Jacob and Esau were born, twins, fraternal twins, and how different they were in their characteristics. We have chapter 2, Isaac and Abimelech. They make a peace treaty between them. And then chapter 3, it's Isaac's blessings. Basically, Isaac wants to bless Esau, and Jacob steals his blessing, so he gets both the birthright that Esau gave up and the blessings, favored blessing of the firstborn child. So that happens here in Isaac's blessings. Then wives for their sons. This is where Rebekah and Isaac send Jacob away north to her brother Laban to get wives. Isaac says, don't get any wives from the Canaanite women. And so Esau, taking that information, who had already married two Canaanite women, decides to marry the daughter of Ishmael, Isaac's brother, thinking that that's going to help get him into the good graces of his father. So now we're going to go to chapter 5, which is Jacob's vow to God. Jacob's vow to God, Genesis 28, 10 through 22. Genesis 28:10. Jacob left Beersheba and set out for Haran. When he reached a certain place, he stopped for the night because the sun had set. Taking one of the stones there, he put it under his head and lay down to sleep. Although this sounds like the first night that Jacob leaves, since it's about 58 miles over rugged territory, even a camel can't do more than 25 miles a day, to Luz or Bethel, it is probably the second or third night of travel. What is Jacob's final destination? Haran. Why did he stop? Because the sun had set. Does it sound as if he has a tent or servants? No, it doesn't sound like he has anything, that he's just outside in the wild. More than likely, he's traveling alone, probably with a camel or a donkey. While it can be sure that Rebekah gave him provisions for his travel, he is not a hunter like his brother, so his food would only be what he has and what he can purchase in towns he will go through. Robbers and thieves will be a problem, but we'll see none of that on this trip. Spending all his life in Beersheba, he may not realize how protected he is already by God. Genesis 28:12. He had a dream in which he saw a stairway resting on earth with its top reaching to heaven, and the angels of God were ascending and descending on it. What does he see in his dream? A stairway resting on earth with its top reaching to heaven. This dream is significant to Jacob, but it's also significant to our understanding of the spiritual world. Let's first talk about Jacob. Consider for a moment all the feelings that Jacob may be having even before this dream. First, he had spent nearly all his life in Beersheba, so this is his first real trip. Second, he is alone with no servants to help him and not even a tent to sleep in, so there would be a sense of loneliness and isolation. But also he's going to a future, so there's also excitement and anticipation. This is a moment of change in his life, and he is aware of it. So question 2, can you remember back to a pivotal point in your life and what changes it brought? How did you feel? Excited? Scared? For me, of course, it was getting married to my present husband. It really changed my life, and I was hoping it would, and it did. Now for the understanding of the spiritual world. This event is known as Jacob's ladder. The ladder represents the connection between God and man. We know angels are messengers from God, as Hebrews 1:14 says. Are not all angels ministering spirits sent to serve those who will inherit salvation? And we know that Jesus refers to this event when he says in John 1:51, very truly I tell you, You will see heaven open and the angels of God ascending and descending on the Son of Man. Bethel, or near Bethel, is also a place that Abraham had spent time and had built an altar. Genesis 12:8. From there, Abraham, went on toward the hills east of Bethel and pitched his tent with Bethel on the west and Ai on the east. There he built an altar to the Lord and called on the name of the Lord. So we know the place is special, and we also see this as something that's referred to in future scriptures. So the scriptures continue. Genesis 28:13. There above it stood the Lord, and he said, I am the Lord, the God of your father Abraham and the God of Isaac. I will give you and your descendants the land on which you are lying. Your descendants will be like dust of the earth, and you will spread out to the west and to the east, and to the north and the south. All peoples on earth will be blessed through you and your offspring. I am with you and will watch over you wherever you go. I will bring you back to this land. I will not leave you until I've done what I've promised you. So here, God basically repeats the blessing he gave Abraham and Isaac and to Jacob when he is blessed. A, I will give you and your descendants the land on which you are lying. B, your descendants will be like dust on the earth. C, all nations, all peoples on the earth will be blessed through you. D, I am with you and will watch over you wherever you go. E, I will bring you back to this land. And F, I will not leave you until I've done what I've promised you. Quite a lot of blessings there. So scriptures continue. Genesis 28:16. When Jacob awoke from his sleep, he thought, surely the Lord is in this place, and I was not aware of it. He was afraid and said, how awesome is this place? This is none other than the house of God. This is the gate of heaven. So question 1, notice the present tense of Jacob's statement. The Lord is in this place, not he was here or I saw him last night. The Lord is in this place. We know Matthew 18:19 and 20 say, for where 2 or 3 are gathered together in my name, there I am in the midst of them. But here Jacob is alone. How can we have the Lord with us even though we are alone? Because we keep a close connection with him and pray to him and these things, and we will feel God's presence in our lives. What emotion did Jacob feel? He was afraid. He was in awe, these things. Probably more awe than fear, but just would we feel when we feel the presence of God? Jacob calls this place in Bethel 2 other names. What are they? The house of God and the gate of heaven. Jacob will return to this place when he comes back to the land of Canaan at least 20 years later, and it will be where his name will change to Israel. So Genesis 35:1, 9 through 10. This is that scripture. Then God said to Jacob, go up to Bethel and settle there and build an altar there to God, who appeared to you when you were fleeing from your brother Esau. God appeared to him again and blessed him. God said to him, your name is Jacob, but you will no longer be called Jacob. Your name will be Israel. So he named him Israel. So the scriptures continue. So Jacob rose early in the morning and took the stone that he had put under his head and set it up for a pillar and poured oil on top of it. He called the place Bethel, house of God. The scriptures continue. Genesis 28:20. Then Jacob made a vow, saying, if God will be with me and will watch over me on this journey I am taking and will give me food to eat and clothes to wear, so that I return safely to my father's household, then the Lord will be my God, and the stone that I've set up as a pillar will be God's house. And of all that you gave me, I will give you a tenth. This vow has an if-then clause. Jacob says, if God will be with me and watch over me on this journey and give me food to eat and clothes to wear, then I will give you a tenth. There's a lot of conditions that Jacob puts on God. Reread Genesis 28:13 through 15. Did God put any conditions on Jacob? 13 through 15. I think that's right nearby here. 13 through 15. So the answer would be no. God didn't make any conditions on Jacob, but Jacob puts conditions on God. What did Jacob put up representing God's house? An altar. Or, a stone, whatever. What does Jacob promise he will give God of everything God gives him, a tenth? Should we make conditional promises to God? Why or why not? I know a lot of people do make conditional promises to God. That has to do with faith, I would think. When your faith is small, you make conditional promises. As it gets big, you don't need to make those promises because you know God is faithful. So that's how I see it anyway. So we're at the end of this chapter already. And let me get my answers next to me, just in case I don't remember every single thing. Okay, number 2, across. The Lord told Jacob, I will be with you and will watch over you. Number 5, after making the pillar, Jacob makes a vow to God. Number 7, I will give you and your descendants the land on which you are lying. Number 9, Jacob saw a stairway resting on earth with its tops reaching to heaven. 10, we know the place he slept. It is called Bethel. 1 down, Jacob put a rock, probably a stone, under his head to sleep. Number 3, Bethel means the house of God. Number 4, Jacob left Beersheba and headed towards Haran. 6, Jacob saw angels of God ascending and descending on the stairway. And 8, Jacob called this place the house of God, the gate of heaven. So that's the end of this chapter. I hope you enjoyed it. Thank you now.